the Tempest presentation. I'll go through the obligatory disclaimer there. Everyone can read that in their own time at their leisure. So I'm going to do a bit about our company first up. We're Western Australian based. We have a number of projects here in Western Australia. However, as we've been around for a few years now, we've had dealings and projects in other jurisdictions as well, and we still have commercial exposure to those. So we're extremely attractively priced at the moment, considering the value of the projects we have, and we have a very tight register there and a reasonable amount of cash in the bank and investments, which isn't reflected in that number on the screen. So I'll launch into a bit more about us. So we have a great board. You can see there's an array of highly experienced team there, notably Brian Moller as our chairman, who is famous for starting and being chairman of Sol Gold previously. And the other guys there have had non-trivial successes themselves as well. In terms of sustainability, it's a critical thing in the modern world. Despite the glowing intro from Rachel, I'm not going to focus on that too much at this moment. Apart from that, it is critical to our future as an industry and also transitioning to this new low carbon environment. We have always, from the beginning, as a pure lithium explorer in 2017 till now, we've always upheld the highest standards of sustainability across environment, social and corporate governance. So there's nothing new there that we have to talk about. It's just we're doing it. One thing I do want to point out is our focus on innovation. Certainly that's a big part of what we're doing as a company. So we have a fully digital workplace, and we're using an array of new things. So you can see there's a box scan unit in the top left picture there that has automated what was 5 manual tasks in the past and turned it into one very easy thing. And so we put all our samples through that, and that data, that objective data, goes straight into our database. So a bit about our projects. As I mentioned earlier, we're Western Australia focused. You can see the large red icon there, but we have commercial exposure. So through deals, cash flow, shares, this kinds of thing, we have exposure to a number of projects around the globe that you can see there. So back to Western Australia. Here on the left-hand side, we can see the array of projects that we're currently working on. We've got lithium, copper, gold, all the critical minerals there, and in a number of different locations, so that we have diversity and we can move around when we need to. So first up, I'm going to talk about the Yalgoo project. So that's about 1,000 square kilometers. It's a non-trivial project. It has all the infrastructure that you could possibly want. So the bars for exploration are quite low there. It's only 4 hours drive from Perth. It has power, water, rail, several highways, telecoms, the lot. And we've already proven that the historical geological interpretation in the area is not correct. And there's a lot more opportunity to find world-class base and precious metal and energy metal deposits here. And that's what I'm going to talk about in a moment. So we zoom in there, we can see there's an overview of our land holding with a number of the very serious projects that are in the region. So the geology previously was thought to be completed, and we've recently, in the last year or two, discovered that there's a whole new belt of the same rocks that host these world-class deposits, and no one's ever looked at them before. And we've done quite a bit of work over there in the last few years. And last year we had quite a high-profile discovery, even if it didn't have the greatest grade at the time, but it was the first hole into a brand new region. And yeah, all the holes that we've drilled so far have been mineralized. We've got base metals, precious metals, and critical minerals coming out of everywhere. So it's a bit of a first world problem to have, drilling lots of holes and getting mineralization. Now we're focused on honing in where the economic part of that is. There's an example of some of the drilling we did towards the end of last year, and you can see that the red is copper plus zinc. So if it was a normal copper value in the rock, it would be a thin grey line, and all those big red spikes show that we're onto something there. Excitingly, because this is a large project, we have many tens of kilometres of rocks that have never been explored. At the eastern end of our project, we have what's called the Remorse target. The Remorse target was discovered through soil sampling, so sampling the surface and looking at the chemistry of that. And we can see there, particularly the pink and blue colours on that diagram, that's very high grade copper and zinc, and very, very contiguous. So it's all in a nice layers, and that's very rare to see that in soil sampling. So we're very excited to get in and do some drilling, probably next quarter, to find out what's under the ground there. And relatedly, mid this year, we flew a regional electromagnetic survey, EM survey, and that was done by helicopter, and it covered quite a large area, as you can see on the right-hand side of that image there. The green area, so we've only announced this today, the green area there is what we flew on this survey. And in our first round of processing, so we're running quite a number of different algorithms and processing techniques on this data. Our first round, we've come up with quite a number of quite compelling targets already. And some of those targets correlate quite strongly with targets that we had generated using other techniques such as magnetics and geochemistry and old-fashioned geology in the bush, and including the Remorse target I mentioned before. So that's quite important. That's quite a compelling target from a surface standpoint. Now we're looking using geophysics, and we can see that there's a signal coming from below the ground as well. Moving on to our next project, which is in Mount Magnet. Mount Magnet is a prolific gold area in Australia. For those who aren't aware, many millions of ounces have been produced from here. We have a significant land holding in the middle of everything. So literally right abutting the $1 billion market cap Ramelius Resources. That's the green on that picture there, on the right-hand side picture. And you can see there's quite a number of ongoing production targets or production centres right beside our project. And we know that there is gold on our project. We've discovered old workings that have quite a bit of gold in the tailings from those workings, and also our recent geochemistry is indicating that there's sizable targets. So that's another drilling target for early next year. This is a relatively new story. I haven't spoken about in presentations yet. We picked up some new ground earlier this year, and this is one of them. It's called the Five Wheels Project. So for anyone who's familiar with Rumble Resources or Strickland Resources, they've both made what appear to be world-class discoveries in the Irahidi region near Wiluna here in WA. And we were looking at the geology of this for quite a long time, and recently some ground became available, so we've grabbed hold of it. And if I go to the next slide there, you can see we're quite proximal to the Rumble discovery, and there's an important geological unit that so far appears to be the place to look for mineralization, and we believe that same geological structure goes through our Five Wheels project to the north there as well. So there's 260 kilometers of ground there, more than 50 kilometers of strike, and it's never been explored for base metals. It's previously been explored for iron ore, and some of the chemistry seems to have elevated base metals in the soil sampling. So I'm actually heading out there tomorrow to go and initiate field work and do some reconnaissance and start work on this project. So we're quite excited to get into that before Christmas and have some news flow for our listeners and investors. Similarly, we've picked up another project at the same time. This is called the Elephant Project. So this is a pure gold play at this stage, but it is very proximal to the world-class Tropicana deposit, which is on the boundary of the Albany-Fraser region and the Yilgarn region. So if we go to the next slide, you can see there's a giant structure, this blue color going down the middle of the screen here. That's the boundary between these two regions. That's an excellent place to find world-class deposits, and indeed that's where Tropicana and several other of the deposits on that screen are. At the Elephant Project, we have quite compelling geophysical anomaly, which is reminiscent of other major deposits in the region. And there's also an 8-kilometer gold geochemical anomaly at the surface. So that is enormous. And that's where, I guess, the name of the project comes from. So we're currently completing that deal. And when the conditions precedent and the transaction's been completed, I'll have more news for everyone on that one. But of course, next year we'll be getting into that one as soon as possible, getting drilling and other work done. So stand by on that one. You may have noticed earlier on the world map that we have exposure to a project in PNG. So we made a investment in this, $1 million last year, and this company is about to list on the ASX at a substantial premium to that price. It's a world-class deposit. It was mined for several decades previously at an astounding grade of half an ounce, about 15 grams per ton. And yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing some action there. And I know that there's quite a likelihood that is going to, that resource that you can see there, it's about 500,000 ounces. I wouldn't be surprised if that doubles in the coming years, and that gets back into production. So it's all part of our growth strategy of not just exploring, but also getting closer to being a producer and a developer. As I mentioned earlier, we were originally a lithium exploration company, and as such, we still have quite an exposure to that commodity. And it's, as I'm sure Iggy and others are going to tell us later in this presentation, that it's critical to that transformation to a energy storage and that kind of thing. So if we look here, we've got our main lithium exploration project is called Rocky Hill. So that's only about an hour away from Perth, and previous work that we've done there, we've done some soil sampling there also, had quite substantial lithium, 60 plus ppm in soils, which is very serious. We're currently waiting on a tenement to be granted there so that we can expand this project significantly and get into some more exploration there. This is part of the southwest terrain, which is one of the main geological provinces in Western Australia where people are looking for lithium right now. As I mentioned, we also have commercial exposure to some other lithium projects around the world, including the high-profile Argosy project there in Nevada. We're also investigating ways that we can create greater value through our lithium projects to get more value to the shareholders. There'll be more news on that coming out this or early next year. All right, so in terms of what's coming up from Tempest, we can say we've got a bit of a Gantt chart there for everyone to look at. At the very minimum, we have a number of field campaigns planned for the rest of this quarter, and then early next year we'll be going straight into more field work and potentially some drilling pending some approvals and other things that we're waiting for currently. So plenty of exciting news flow for investors and observers to coming. And if anyone is attending one of these events that you can see at the bottom For example, I'll be at IMARC in 2 weeks in Sydney. I'd love to have a chat. So come and talk to me at any of those events. So reiterating what I've said, very modest value explorer right now, considering the great value that we have on our books. And we've got a lot of news flow coming up. We're also de-risked, so we're multi-commodity. We're not at the behest of whatever's fashionable in the market from month to month. If you want to find out more about Tempest Minerals, make sure that you drop by our website. And particularly there, we have our investor hub where there's me speaking on video for every announcement that we put out. And also we've got some docu-series there called Inside Tempest, where you can learn more about how we work and what we're doing. That's it. Thanks everyone for listening.